Well, good morning, George. How are you?
Morning, David. I am doing well today. Yourself?
Great, great. Well, thank you for taking time to talk with me, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to hearing a little bit about uh, you and the work that you do.
Sounds great.
Okay, well, let's start with your credentials.
My credentials. Okay, I am a fully licensed master social worker with both clinical and macro endorsements.
Great, and from some of our conversations, this is not your first rodeo. You've been in the counseling chair a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I actually started out as an outpatient therapist back in 1998. So it's been a minute. I did that. At that time, it was half-time outpatient counseling. The other half was in community, home-based family preservation work. So that half was going out, working with families with issues related to neglect and abuse. My outpatient side of the day was spent on a lot of clients with abuse, neglect issues. So I had referrals from foster care departments on neglect and abuse, working with the children, also working with the bio parents to alleviate those issues. Had a lot of clients that were refugees. So I've worked with, survivors of war-torn countries from all over the world. Um,
So much
so
trauma.
a lot of, and then of course that smattering of community referrals, your basis of anxiety, depression, and of course, like I said, throughout all of that, a thread of trauma work.
How do you think? How do you think you kept your passion fueled for all of this time? Because we hear so much about mental health work is it can be so overwhelming and draining. Um, and so, how how's your passion still fueled? Because when I sit across from you, I certainly feel that passion.
At risk of being a little bit wonky, there's a phrase that I learned early on, empathic detachment. So there's a sweet spot where you're empathic. You have to connect. I mean, you have to care, and I do. I care deeply. I want to make a difference in people's lives. I am eternally curious. I want to know what's going on with people. I want to understand. I believe in the innate goodness of people, and even as people make very poor or self-destructive decisions, somewhere in there you can peel out and find they were trying to do something good, get something that is a sort of a universal human good, but they did it in a way that was not good. So that's that empathic side. And then on the professional detachment side, you can't wear it on your sleeve. I mean, you can't carry everything all the time. You can't take it home with you. So in the middle there's a spot where you're empathic, you're authentic, you're real, you're connected. And then you have to kind of turn on that other side of your brain and get clinical, kind of figure out what the issue is and how do I help. And then take a step back and take a breath and allow things to proceed. So, and I've carried that through like all of my career, trying to find that sweet spot.
I appreciate the wisdom of that, knowing that um, if you bring too much of your person into that, then you do burn out, um, and
Mhm.
and it does take that personal work um, to see the human that like in the mess that they've created, um, that that's not just well suffer the consequences, but to hear the motivation.
Right, right. And I love bringing self in, but also it's got to be purposeful. It has to be about the client, helping the client heal. Someone once told me that, in essence, the difference between conversation and therapy is that purpose, the intention. It's not just a conversation. It's not just, oh, let me listen to you, but it's how am I bringing something into this interaction that's going to be helpful to you, the client.
I love that. I love that. Um, well, who part of this conversation is to know what it's like to sit in the office with you when the door closes. So, who would you say is an ideal client? What's the kind of work that you get really excited about?
Um, for me, the ideal client is someone that I tend to be a little bit kind of cerebral. I'm a talker, I'm a thinker. And so I like to be able to apply some cognitive approaches. So someone that, a teen and up that is kind of able to have that kind of a conversation. Ideally, someone with a level of personal insight, although we can get there, with folks that haven't had that. I worked worked with a lot of anger management issues. At the height, that was sort of my specialty, the angry young men. So working with someone that is sort of motivated to figure out what makes them tick, and that has a desire to kind of figure out how to make some changes. Again, I've got a lot of training in motivational interviewing, so I can work with getting them to the actual change process. But my deal is going to be someone that has that capacity for some cognitive work.
Right. Where So my own curiosity here, where's the conversation go besides like, hey, angry guy, just don't be angry, man. Like that's not working. Like where do you find that conversation often goes?
I, you know, Again, I want to get at what's underneath that. I used to do some trainings around men and emotional range, and I used to joke that it's only half a joke. Men have basically four cardinal emotions, kind of like cardinal directions: north, south, east, west. You have mad, sad, glad, and scared. And that's about the range of the average guy: mad, sad, glad, scared. And uh, sad and scared make them mad. So then you get glad, mad, mad, and mad. So it's kind of a joke, but it's kind of not. So underneath that anger, there's going to be another emotion. There's other emotions that are less kind of palatable for a male to express. And so shame comes out as anger, guilt comes out as anger. So you kind of get underneath what's that next level emotion under it, and then what prompted that? What's going on? So again, the curiosity is coming up. Tell me about the anger. Tell me what happened. What was going on? And depending on the client, we may go into the physical, the more somatic side of things. Like, where do you feel it? Sometimes that's about bringing that emotion out. Sometimes is learning those triggers. With anger management, a lot of people think, oh, I go from 0 to 100. No, you don't. You just ignore 0 through 99. It's
And the 100 is really obvious.
There are steps along the way. So it becomes a matter of, looking at what's that thought process. We do a lot of condensing of our thought processes. Oh, here we go again. And then boom, I'm angry. Well, pick that apart. Here we go again. What do you mean, here we go again? It's what are those messages that have gotten coded and shortened and shortened and shortened into this catchphrase that is in the back of your mind. So we might do some of that work. You might look at, the trigger and how you think differently about the things that happen. It's not so much the event as what you think about the event that is going to then lead to the emotion, which then leads to a behavior. So I'm aiming at changing the behavior, but getting at underneath. And is it a cognitive? Can they go with me to that self-talk? Do we need to look at those physical triggers that are going to let them kind of slow themselves down? I'm going to roll with a client in this space, figure out, where are they most able to connect with themselves and what's happening in this process. So it's going to be ask a lot of questions.
And so I hear a lot of self-discovery and self-awareness.
Yes.
Where do you see that road going? What does the treatment outcomes look like?
And so ultimately it has to be, what I want is a solution of some sort. I love brief solution focused therapy. Tell me give me the miracle question. If you woke up tomorrow and this problem was gone, what would it look like? So getting the client to paint a picture of what that change would look like and then working towards that change. As a therapist, we're often kind of, we like to get that enlightenment, the aha moment, the light bulb moment, which is, it's a great ego boost for the therapist. It doesn't always result in change for the client. Insight for insight's sake, it's interesting, but what we really need to do with the client is figure out, what do they want? What's the, like, is it a behavioral change? Is it an environmental change? Is it a relationship change? What are they looking for that's going to tell them, yes, this was time well spent. I feel better about whatever it is that brought me in. So very client centered.
Right.
I like solutions.
You've talked about a lot of different modalities that you bring into the room. Anything else that you would want to highlight that might be unique or specific to you?
Yeah, I've been around a lot of different modalities and a lot of training. So I've been trained obviously in cognitive. I've been trained in TF-CBT. I've been trained in EMDR, brief solution focus. I mentioned narrative therapy, and so I want to be able to roll with where the client is and figure out what's the best modality for them. I personally am very cognitive, but I've got enough of a grounding to be able to do that body work. For someone that doesn't really want to do the top down, they want to do the bottom up. I've got life experience in studying martial arts and mind body awareness and breath control and all that kind of stuff, so I can roll with that sort of thing. So I guess that, I don't know if that makes me necessarily unique, but these are resources that I can bring into the therapeutic relationship.
I like that. I think I hear you say that there's that strong cognitive posture that you bring, but there are a lot more tools in the toolbox, and so it ends up finding where the client is, and then bringing the right tool.
I'm going to be in my head the whole time, but the client doesn't need to experience that necessarily. If that's good for them, great. We'll go there. I'll go there with you. But that's not. It doesn't have to feel that way.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm certainly glad that you have come to Alliance and will share some of your gifts with us. And I appreciate you taking time to talk with me and tell me what it's like to be in the room with you. Is there anything I missed? Is there something else that whether your experience, your training, some of those unique qualities, did I miss something that we should hit?
I think the only other thing that we didn't talk about, over the course of my career, in addition to the therapy work, I got into, I had wonderful opportunities to get into clinical supervision, and then program management, and then senior leadership. And at peak had roughly over 1,000 staff in 30 states that were under my purview. So very much involved in senior leadership, and that came later in my career. So it wasn't part of my therapeutic experience, but I would be thrilled to get to work with um, older clients that are in leadership positions, senior management positions, or even new to supervision and leadership, that are dealing with the stress, the pressures, the weight of carrying that level of responsibility. So that would be something I'd be very interested in working with, and supporting folks in that development.
I love that application of all those a lifetime of experiences and training, and you can not only, in thinking about the angry person, the self-discovery and the self-awareness, but how then applying that to whatever context, a 15-year-old or a person in leadership and who's needing to grow.
Absolutely. Yeah. If we don't have to wait until it turns into anger and somebody's coming home and, doing something that they're going to regret later. We can get it early on when folks recognize that this is hard. Life can be hard. So I'm happy to help out with that and excited to be part of Alliance.
We have this expression, we like to say, at Alliance Counselor Group, we want to be hope for change for good.
Yes.
And I like in our discussion today how sort of in all of your giftings, the way that you stand with us and be that. So thank you, and I appreciate the time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.